Hi, everyone. My name is Nadine, and as mentioned, I'm a developer advocate at Hedera, specializing in real-world asset tokenization. Today, I want to speak about real-world success stories, a topic that is kind of very close to my heart. Because let's be honest, if we think about the history of Web3, most projects have been mostly theoretical, and only few have been made practice. Now, I hope we're all here because we subscribe to the notion of decentralization. We believe that it's the right thing to do, and we believe in this new form of finance. However, if we look into the real world, it seems like there's a bit of a lack. So a lot of projects that were promising have never managed to get out of POC stage, and others are still in sandboxes till this day. Now, there's a multitude of reasons why this has happened, but for the brevity of this presentation, I just want to focus on three. Number one could be regulation. For a very, very long time, it was impossible to even say if those real-world assets would be a security or a utility token. And if you don't know this, it's also really hard to know what regulators to talk to or what frameworks to use. And even very motivated innovators would struggle with AML and KYC and all of these requirements. Then secondly, the technology just wasn't there yet. It wasn't mature enough. If you're an enterprise that wants to adopt a new technology, what you usually need is high throughput, scalability, and security. And what we mostly delivered as an industry was the blockchain trilemma, network congestion, and gas fees. And then lastly, the user experience. If we think about tech, especially tech that should be innovative, we want it to be there to make our lives easier. We want it to work seamless and not to really introduce a lot of more problems. Now, I love self-custody, and I'm sure many of you do too. But it's kind of hard sometimes to tell someone that there's this thing called seed phrases and keys and wallets, and if you lose your keys, then all your funds are gone, and if you do this one single mistake when you're sending funds to another address, then also these funds are gone, and then there's not really a customer service that you can call to revert that. It was a learning curve for a lot of people to kind of adapt it and embrace it. But now I want to show you that this has changed. We now finally have the regulation that we needed with what's happening in the US, and also the MiCA compliance in Europe, as well as the FCA in the UK. And we have technology that is much more mature, which brings the high throughput that we need and the scalability. And if we think of network fees, we even have networks like Hedera, which are using the pegged fee in US dollars that is never going to change, which is great for forecasting. But let's dive straight in to some use cases with companies that have made that switch from theory to practice very successfully. First things first, I would really like to talk about real estate. Now, real estate is, of course, huge, but many of you know it's also very, very illiquid. It has been historically really not that easy to enter and exit, and it has locked out or made retail kind of feeling like they're shut out there. Now, Red Swan is this company in the US that has a portfolio of $5 billion in real estate, and from that portfolio, they have already tokenized tens of millions in their commercial property on Hedera. Now, what really makes this revolutionary is that they are using fractionalization to lower barriers to entry. What does it mean? Well, let's take a building, a 50 million grade A office building. Usually you would need a lot of capital as well as weeks of paperwork to get in there. But now with tokenization, we can take this building and we can split it into many different tokens which we mint, and then we can sell this off to KYC'd investors, and boom. It has never been so easy to invest in real estate. And it also has never been so easy to actually issue these tokens. So we actually have taken the learnings from Red Swan, have packaged this up into open source solutions, and now they're ready for the market to be adopted. But Red Swan are not the only ones that are democratizing access. What we have here is Aberdeen, which is one of the largest assets issuers in asset firms, managers, sorry, in the UK and in Europe in general. And they have partnered with Arjax, which is a regulated UK exchange, to tokenize their money market funds. Now, this, of course, also lowers barriers to entry. But what I actually want to focus on there is another use case, which is instant settlement. You see, in a very maybe simplified way to explain it, money market funds compound daily and they pay out quarterly, well, monthly or quarterly. Now, these payouts, this yield gets usually straight away reinvested for the most possible return. But the payouts usually take 1 to 2 days to settle. Now, these 1 to 2 days doesn't sound like a lot, but if we calculate that over a span of a year, an investor could lose out on up to 3 weeks of compound interest, and that is quite a lot. So this is a beautiful solution showcasing how the end user actually doesn't need to know that they are interacting with Web3 to reap the benefits. And this use case has been so incredibly successful that Arjax and Aberdeen have looked into further use cases. And they found them. They have just recently partnered with Lloyds Bank in the UK to use these same tokenized money market funds as collateral in foreign exchange trading. This has been a UK's first, and even one of the first cases in the world, most probably, where tokenized money market funds or any sort of tokenized assets has been used as collateral. And this is a great use case to show how these sort of solutions are already possible in the current financial system under the current financial regulation. This is actually even more special if we remind ourselves that the UK alone is trading a bit more than half of the 10 trillion daily trading volume in derivatives. So, we have seen now quite a lot of solutions, well, actually 3, dealing with fractionalization, instant settlement, as well as using these assets as collateral. We, of course, have many more. I can't go into much detail, but I want to say we have real-world asset on one side, but it's only one side of the coin. What we also have to talk about is stable digital cash. And as you can see here on the slide, we have USDC, which is used for DeFi liquidity as well as for institutional participation on the network. But we also have the Australian digital dollar, which is currently being very successfully used in a pilot with the Reserve Bank of Australia in their CBDC and innovations project, Arcasia. We also, and are very happy about, have just been chosen by the state of Wyoming as one of the networks to issue their frontier stablecoin. All of this should be coming together to paint this one big picture. You can think of all of this as Lego blocks. We can use those Lego blocks to build our new future of finance. Because in the end, the headline isn't tokenization. It has never been tokenization. The headline is always outcomes. And the outcomes that we have is access, is faster cash cycles, and is safe settlement. And with this, we will go from theory to practice even more, or from promise to payout. Thank you so much. My name is Nadine. You can connect with me via this QR code and find me on LinkedIn, or just talk to me later in the break. Thank you.